We'd like to move on to item number 8, regeneration of the Bedworth Town Centre. We have a late report, but I believe you should have that, or have seen it. Briefly, thank you very much. Officer Snowden.
Thank you, Chair. In the region of about 2-3 years ago, a Bedworth Town Centre visioning document was commissioned by the Council, which contained proposals that identified a number of development opportunities and initiatives for the town centre. The document proposed 7 key opportunity sites located across the town centre that could deliver or contribute towards delivering the aspirations that were identified to revitalise Bedworth Town Centre. During recent months, works has been ongoing to capture data to underpin these proposals and priorities for Bedworth. A commercial market assessment and a socio-economic review were recently considered by the Transforming Bedworth Working Party, which met recently on the 3rd of December. In light of the data that was presented and the economic change following the pandemic, a review of the visioning proposals will now be undertaken to ensure a robust account is taken of the up-to-date evidence gathered. So a refined vision will then be produced, which will be utilised to promote the purpose of transforming Bedworth to residents, businesses, the private sector and the third sector, with the ultimate aim of securing inward investment from both the private sector and any relevant grant funding that may be available in future. As we know, the current government is continuing to bring forward different funding streams. We've had the Towns Fund, we've had Future High Streets, we've got Levelling Up Fund. There seems to be this constant thread of new funding opportunities coming forward. And what we need to be with Bedworth Town Centre is to be ready to take advantage when those opportunities arise. So it's key. It worked for us in Nuneaton, where we put all the building blocks in place, and then we're able, when these funding streams came along, to take advantage. And we need to be in exactly the same position for Bedworth Town Centre. And that's why this piece of work needs to be done. We need to refresh the vision so it's bang up to date, taking notice of all the latest data and information that we have. So that's a piece of work that needs to be done to inform all the future work that will flow forward in terms of regenerating Bedworth Town Centre. One piece of really good news for Bedworth, obviously, was the Borough Council being successful in securing the £14.9 million of grant from the government's Levelling Up Fund towards the new Bedworth Physical Activity Hub. And as part of that programme, the funding will both support the provision of the new leisure centre and contribute towards creating a green corridor from the town centre to the Miners' Welfare Park. So it's about connecting the town centre through this green corridor to the Miners' Welfare Park, where the new leisure facility will be, but all of the other improved leisure facilities and the facilities that the park has to offer. So it's all about making that a very strong link, but a very green link. So to ensure that the vision's coordinated, as I talked earlier about the Transforming Bedworth Working Party, a bit like the one established in Nuneaton, it's a partnership with the Borough Council, Warwickshire County Council, and all key members are represented on that working party. And we also have the local MP who attends. So it really is a team approach to delivering the regeneration activity within the town centre. So it's anticipated as priorities and projects become further established on the back of the refined vision, that support will be forthcoming from Coventry and Warwickshire Local Enterprise Partnership and other stakeholders.
Thank you, Officer Snowden. May I say I'd like to thank all the officers and Councillor Evans in particular with regards to the securing the £14.95 million funding for Bedworth. And I'm sure my Bedworth colleague councillors would endorse that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the officer, please? Councillor Connachar.
I'm really confused about this green corridor because it seems very much like greenwash or painted green, but I don't see that transport green thing in the park being carried through. From what it looks like, it's a very, very short document. There isn't actually a cycle lane from the park where we're going to have wonderful cycling facilities in and across the town centre. And the big problem that has always been in Bedworth if you're a cyclist is the only legal way to go around Bedworth is around the ring road, round Wingway, past Tesco's. It was actually illegal to cycle in the pedestrian area. And Mill Street is only legal to cycle in one direction. The buzz lane is actually no cycling. And I thought when we're doing a green corridor, it would actually focus on a really pleasant walking environment and all this stuff, but also have a bit of space for people to cycle. And it was mentioned at Cabinet last night about poor cyclists in the town centre being a danger. You don't stop dangerous cyclists by making cycling illegal, because the reckless cyclists totally ignore the law. What you do is you actually drive out the people who will be responsible and use a legal route if you provide one. So it'd be really useful to know where we are going with cycling in Bedworth Town Centre, and if we're going to have the same policy to Nuneaton, where you're driving out all the people who want to spend money on two wheels and expect them to cycle around past Tesco's. So it would be useful. And also, the railway station is a real key gateway to Bedworth, and it needs that TLC to actually make that a more of a desire line. So we're not just thinking of people in cars, because the concept for a cycle-friendly park isn't you take your car with a bike in the back to the park and then cycle around the park. We need these corridors to actually flow through. So I don't know where we're going with it, and if maybe Les could actually tell us how we get some more information on the cycling aspects, the railway station access for pedestrians, and also bus services, because bus services and Tesco's just tend to go up Mill Street, a big congested thing, lots of pollution, and actually we need to start to think about bus services as part of our integrated, greener, more successful Bedworth.
In terms of cycling, the scheme itself is currently in development, so nothing has been fixed. So these are issues that can be brought up and discussed as the programme and the project is developed.
Thank you, Officer. Yes, Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Chair. So in relation to the Green Corridor, which is more of my part of the levelling up fund bid, I can confirm that, having had discussions with the leader of the County Council and with officers, that it will be the County Council which will be taking the lead for the Green Corridor element of the levelling up fund bid. That, to me, makes far much more sense than having our officers do it, because our area of expertise is not in highways, because those roads are still technically public highways. That enables our officers to free up their capacity to focus on delivering the actual physical activity, the physical activity hub, to replace the Bedworth Leisure Centre. What I would say is, with regards to cyclists, that would be an issue to be determined at the more detailed planning application stage when that comes forward. But I would expect, in terms of respect for people within the town centre, for cyclists to actually dismount and park up or secure their bikes in a suitable facility, rather than actually riding their bikes through the town centre, which is actually off-putting for a number of pedestrians. And also, having seen it myself firsthand, and I was there with Councillor Clark as it happens, in the town centres, rather than coming off their bikes and endangering pedestrians, they have to acknowledge that this is still technically a mechanically propelled vehicle with the danger to do significant harm to pedestrians if it goes wrong. And I have actually seen for myself and know of people who have been injured because a cyclist has gone crashing into them when they weren't paying attention. So what I do expect is for there to be a respect between pedestrians and cyclists through the town centres. That's all any reasonable user of our town centre expects. if it's a busy pedestrian area, don't go cycling through it. Dismount and walk through until it is safe to actually resume cycling again. I think that is a far better way of progressing than anything else.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Councillor Condacor?
Cyclists really do know how to share a care, the responsible ones. The idiots will be idiots. What we need, because obviously people don't come from the north of Bedworth and not want to go to the south of Bedworth. People need to cross the town centre. Is a route that's not necessarily always the high street, but just to one side. It's like in the Neaton, if you have an Abbey Street cycling and not cycling Queen's Road. The fact is there is no safe route to cycle north to south or east to west through Bedworth. I totally get the point that we need areas of absolute pedestrian, but you have to provide, if you're going to thrive and be a green, sustainable way for cyclists to go around the back street and enter from the side. But you have to have a cycle network in Bedworth. You can't just have nothing. And the best way to keep people from cycling through the pedestrianised area is actually slightly to the left or slightly to the right to actually have a nice green cycling route through on the inside of the ring road. There's lots of roads inside the ring road, the bits around the back of the church, but you do need to have a route. And you cannot just leave things as an afterthought or detail. This visioning of actually, we don't want people cycling here, we will, that's a stick, here's a carrot. If you cycle down this way round the back of the almshouses, this other side of the church, if you give people an alternative, that's fine. But if you actually make absolutely every route inside the ring road illegal, people will still cycle through the Bedworth Town Centre, and the reckless people who don't care will cycle in the wrong place. So I'm asking that we think about this, understand the conflicts. Holland and other places have had us for years. Understand where we need people to dismount, but actually have a physical way for people to use our town centres and cross them. Not just this exclusion, cyclists kill people, because the deaths in Bedworth have been of cyclists, not cyclists killing people. In this country, we have 1 or 2 people a year potentially killed by cyclists. We have thousands killed by vehicles. And you want cyclists to cycle around Rowan Ringway. You want cyclists to cycle past the entrance and the mini roundabout by Tesco's. You understand why we need a safe way and we need a fair treatment. Otherwise, you're just making a car-centric system that will discourage people with cycling from actually living in Bedworth and the Neaton. I totally understand why we need to keep people safe. There's lots of issues with the motorised scooters, all sorts of issues. But the infrastructure they put in for cyclists across Europe and across Britain actually enable disabled people to use the cycle tracks as well, people with buggies. Doing it right is a positive thing. And actually to say, oh, I've seen a cyclist almost hit a pedestrian, let's ban cyclists from Bedworth and the Neaton town centres, is so 1970s, and it's not the way to go.
Chair, I don't believe I actually said that I wanted to ban cyclists from the town centres. I just wanted people to coexist and respect each other. I think that is what I said.
Indeed, I believe you did. May I ask Councillor Condegor then to put forward some sort of suggestion that could be reviewed as to a route around Bedworth for cyclists?
Yeah, I'm very happily with officers at the county and the Cycle Forum discuss routes around Bedworth. All I'm saying is we have that discussion, and we don't have the discussion in 2 years' time when all the detailed planning applications in. We actually have this discussion in the next couple of months to actually put a vision for cyclists in this green corridor. Because to have a green corridor and no cycling considered is nuts. I'm very, very happy to discuss how we cycle and keep away from the town centre bits that are pedestrianised. But we have to have a solution. We can't have it that I can't go to the wonderful stuff in the Miners' Welfare Park because I can't cycle from the north of Bedworth to the south of Bedworth.
Thank you, Councillor Condegor. Councillor Hammersley.
Being a new Bedworth councillor, I mean, this is so exciting for the Bedworth people that have been just from the past forgotten. But we now, through these councillors, are putting together this plan to resurrect the phoenix which is it's just been nothing there. We are trying to introduce people back into the town. Footfall saves the town, so we're trying to introduce. We're also trying to link it with, rather than it be fragmented from, the park. And people do want to feel safe up the town. They do want to amble around. They do want to sit and chat, etc., without somebody whizzing past them. Yes, I can understand Mr. Condacor's views. We don't have to forget, but through the town centre itself, peace and tranquility, and people wanting to go to the town for all the right reasons, and not be worried about people whizzing past them on a bike. So yes, I can understand, but made further plans to review cyclists around the town, but it would be a pleasure for the local people not to worry about somebody zooming past them and just ambling along and getting some life back into the town, which it hasn't had for years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Helmsley. Councillor Downs.
Thank you, Chair. As a resident of Bedworth, I'd just like to address what Councillor Condacor just said about allegedly seeing, like, someone missed someone. No. My great aunt died after being hit by a cyclist. Yes, it was 3 months later. But no, I totally refute what you've said. Okay? That's personal to me. Now, Bedworth Town Centre has always been and should always be cyclist free. Don't care what anybody says. You cannot have a walk through Bedworth Town Centre and then all of a sudden, like Councillor Hammersley just said, have someone whizzing past you. Can't be done. It's just not safe. So from my perspective, if anything crosses the line that says that cyclists should have the right to go through the town centre, forget it. That's not what Bedworth needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Downs. Councillor Condacor.
Cyclists don't have a right to be reckless, but cyclists do have to have a way. And if the solution is to have a cycling way round the ring road with ways into cycling parking places, that's fine. At the moment, what I'm saying is there is no way, because going around the ring road is unsafe, very unsafe, and we had a fatality by the Tesco's malfunction junction a couple of years ago. So what I'm saying is we need a solution. I understand totally that you want areas that are no cyclists, but you can't have areas that are either no cyclists or dangerous. There has to be a way to go north to south and east to west and be around and an in or something. But you do need to have these discussions so we have a solution. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And a round the outside solution is fine if you give us space to have a safe cycling way round. But there is no safe way anywhere at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Condacor. I don't believe that anybody's questioning the fact there should not be a route for cyclists. I think the question in hand is the fact that the centre of Bedworth remains pedestrian. Thank you. Can we move on, please, then to item number 9?